Greetings, everybody. This is FitSpaz RECOVERY. I'm your host, Paul, the producer, and this is a podcast about substance abuse issues, addiction, and maintaining sobriety. Some junk and stuff that I have a little bit of experience with. And I just spent a few minutes writing down some things I want to talk about today. I'm going to talk about this organization that I think is really cool and good for people who need some kind of way to quit smoking marijuana. It's called Marijuana Anonymous, just like Alcoholics Anonymous, but for marijuana. And I'm going to talk a little bit, tell a story about how I was around people drinking alcohol this weekend. And lastly, I'll touch on meditation a little bit, which is one of my daily activities. I've been doing it the last couple of months, half an hour a day, and it's been really nice. So let me jump right into it. I want to talk about Marijuana Anonymous. It's this group I've been going to for almost a couple of years now, since I was first introduced to it, and it's been very good for me because I knew that I wanted to quit smoking marijuana and that I was restless, and so I found this group through my friend Howard. Like, I told him, I quit smoking again, but I'm restless tonight, and he said, dude, you should go to a Marijuana Anonymous meeting. I was like, what? Really? What's that? And essentially, it's a meeting just like, very similar to Alcoholics Anonymous. They follow the same format, and so I went. And, you know, some people are like, oh man, it must have taken a lot of courage to walk in there and do that. And yeah, I suppose the first time out it does. But, you know, it's been very good for me because almost on a weekly basis I've gone in and talked to some of the same people, and I'm not going to get into anyone's personal details because especially that's not the point. My point is that, like Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, which some of you are familiar with, it's a fellowship of people who realize they have substance abuse issues and they want to get over it and they want to live a sober life. So everybody goes there every week, and what I found is that I identify with a lot of what people say, and I'm not always the first one to dive in and speak there. Sometimes I go there and I'm like, whoa, what am I going to say? But by the time I wait and people have spoken already, I'm like, oh yeah, my mind is like brimming with things to talk about. And so you go there, you get peer-to-peer support, and there are all kinds of things valuable about that. Just having a group of people I go see who have some of the same feelings and experiences as far as, you know, everybody there, I think, like me, has a love-hate relationship with marijuana. And it's a pretty open group. Like, you know why I think it's the best of those three groups I mentioned, alcohol, narcotics, and marijuana, is because if you come in there with any kind of problem, they're not like, oh no, this is exclusively a marijuana group and you can't be here talking about this or that. Like, they're just addicts that go there and they find that this is the group where the least crazies are. You know, I have just a criticism of Alcoholics Anonymous. And it's not that the program isn't good. I think it helps a lot of people. It's that I have a unique situation. I'm going to clear my throat real quick. I have a unique situation in my life. Alcohol, for example, has a lot to do with me getting in a mindset where, oh yeah, I automatically want to smoke. When I drink alcohol, it's like, boom, I become obsessed with immediately wanting to get high. Like, who has it? Who has it? I won't go up and talk to pretty girls. I won't talk to strangers. And yet all of a sudden I want to get high. And so I'm talking to strangers. You know what I mean? Which is kind of lame. I want that kind of motivation on a personal level, just to go up and strike up a conversation with people. But I'm not that kind of extroverted person. So it's more of a struggle for me. My daughter's great at that. I wish I could have like 25% of what she has to go up and be like, hey, I'm so-and-so. What are you doing? Let's be friends. Let's play in the park. But it doesn't work that way. Anyway, let me get back to Marijuana Anonymous, okay? Like, specifically, actually, it's Alcoholics Anonymous. I wanted to touch on that. It's like, I remember going there, they told me, we don't think you're an alcoholic. And it all depends on what your issues are. Like, I know how alcohol affects me, especially the day after I drink. And I know the kinds of things it can make me do. As I have this saying, I'm like, what it makes me do in the shadows. So it's like, if I'm hanging out with you, I'm not necessarily going to be misbehaving. But if I'm alone in a different city and I'm drunk, it's like, what am I going to be doing? Drinking and driving, or being in an environment that, like, you know what? I think casual sex is a bad sort of thing to get into because it shows low self-esteem, and you jump into bed with somebody you don't know. I don't know. Just as I've gotten older, it's been more important to make wise decisions. And whenever you're drunk, my point is you don't make wise decisions. So a few years ago, I went to some, it was several years ago now, 5 years ago, about over 5 years ago. And they're like, yeah, we don't think you're an alcoholic, dude. And if you bring up marijuana there, people are like, they get upset because they're kind of like, well, I have a couple ways I feel about this. They use marijuana to essentially control their drinking habit, which is fine because drinking is such a depraved, crappy habit when you're in the throes of it, especially when you're like really bad alcoholic and you can't control what you're doing. That, by golly, I really believe actually that marijuana is a better choice than alcohol if you're going to have a habit of doing either one. By all means, I would rather see somebody doing marijuana, but excuse me, God, I hate doing that when I'm doing the show. Anyway, so if you go into Marijuana Anonymous, and if you touch on marijuana like in a way like, yeah, I kind of have a problem with that, people get upset. And they're like, oh, no. They're defensive of marijuana, but it's like, dude, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, whatever it is, you're in here and it's about addiction. So if you're criticizing someone who comes into Alcoholics Anonymous because they're saying they might have a problem with marijuana, you, my friend, might actually have a problem because it's about addiction and it's about getting people clean. And if somebody smokes marijuana and they feel morbid or suicidal or down and out or depressed or whatever, who are you to judge them when basically you're supposed to be in this environment that's supportive? So it's a problem for that person. And regardless of whatever the drug is, if they come into Alcoholics Anonymous, you should be supportive. You don't have to like be bros getting high together, but I've experienced it, and I don't like that attitude in Alcoholics Anonymous where some people are like, don't diss on my weed. And it's like, hey, come on, man. Do you know, like, my point for going to Alcoholics Anonymous was kind of like, well, if I drink, then it automatically spins me into that behavior. But not only that behavior, like, especially drinking, all these other behaviors. Like, if you have things we shouldn't be doing, they're a lot more likely to happen when I'm drunk. Being drunk is the ultimate gateway drug. And so what are you going to do? I want to bring up that if you want to know more about Marijuana Anonymous, go to marijuana-anonymous.org. That's a good organization. You go there, and I haven't felt judged by anybody, and just very unique people. What I find about people in some of these groups, especially more so in Marijuana Anonymous, is that they've been through a lot of SHIT, and so consequently, there is a lot of emotional maturity I hear out of people there, even more than people I'm related to who aren't drug addicts or anything. It's just when people have been through hell, it's almost like when they get straight, they're miles ahead of people who haven't had that hardship in life, and I just think that might be true. So, by the way, I just want to say, if you have a problem, you're not hopeless. If you realize you have a problem, it means there's some hope there. Because if it's the worst case scenario is like denial. No, I don't. And so at the very least, if you're realizing something, there are options out there. It takes courage to walk into one of those meetings, but I did it, and I don't regret it. And I want to promote that group because I do think there's some virtue in it, the way they approach it there. There's not a lot of judgment. If you're just an addict, broad definition of addict, they pretty much welcome you with open arms, and I haven't seen a lot of crazy people there who are disruptive or anything. Probably one of the most disruptive people is me, because when I get on a tirade, I can be like, ugh, pretty over the top. I'll move on. I talked about Marijuana Anonymous. Great group. Check it out. Marijuana Anonymous. Marijuana-anonymous.org. No judgment to pot smokers either, you know what I mean? I still believe people should have the right to make a free choice in life and do those things and whatever. This is just like if you feel like it's too much in your life and you want to change a little bit, just, bear with me. I think I have a lot of good things to say. You can relate to me. I force you and demand and insist that you relate to me. I'm just being silly, of course. This weekend I went up to Copper Mountain to run this thing called the Warrior Dash, and I was joined by my mother and my daughter, and then later subsequently by my sister and her friend. And we went on, it was, I believe, yes, Friday night to see the Broncos preseason game in a bar where my sister and her friend had glasses of wine. And there's that part of me that's like, yeah, that would be nice to feel that little buzz, but I don't want to do that. I'm still just committed to staying sober right now and developing myself in a sober mind state of mind. Yeah, speak more correctly, Paul. But so I was with them, and is that wise to go and do that? I think in some respects it depends on who you're with. I was with my sister and her friend, and they know that I'm in this sober period of my life and that's what I'm doing. And so they're also pretty mature along those lines. And they're not going to be like, come on, dude, enjoy yourself, because there is that peer pressure element. So I try not to hang around. Those are the situations you don't put yourself in, where there's that peer pressure element. So I couldn't smell their wine, and it was like, fine. The following day, though, interestingly, there was... where was I? I was sitting where they were setting up this stage and bar area for people who are running the race, and I was like, I smell nasty beer. And by nasty beer, I mean it's not even good beer. It's like if you imagine somebody downing a Bud Light and then vomiting it up, that's what it smelled like. And I was like, I smell that beer. Nasty beer. And so that smell, I'm glad that I'm not the type of person that would trigger me, but I did smell it, and so I feel pretty safe when it comes to alcohol. But not that I don't have my tempting moments. I often will go to dinner at my parents' house, and my dad's always drinking wine, and I smell the wine, and I'm like, oh, wine, yeah. Pinot Noir, this yummy red wine my dad gets, quality stuff. It's like just free there, and you can just dump it into a cup and drink it. But I'm lucky. My parents, my family, they don't peer pressure me either. I bet you on some level my dad misses me not joining him with a glass of wine, but I miss it, and then again I don't. It's like I've said, it's just not the overwhelming, controlling temptation that marijuana is for me. That's my drug. That's my go-to thing. And so I'm glad I got away from that too. Just I'm in a lot better state of mind. And I wanted to mention that I was around alcohol this weekend, but it's just I'm so lucky and blessed that it's not the kind of thing that'll throw me off, because I just don't indulge in it. And I had to run the race, and I'm like, I got to go nighty night, and if I drink too, I'm getting up at night a million times to go pee, and it's like, well, there are some good reasons not to do it then, right? So additional to getting drunk, you're up all night peeing, and you don't get the rest you need to recuperate. And even if you do get some rest, you're still wiped out being hungover if you're me, the way that I used to drink. So I just got interrupted. My recording got interrupted because I forgot to put my phone on AirPlay, and I was the irony here is that I was just about to speak about meditation and how I do it to develop and cultivate a calm in myself, and I feel angry right now, and that's the honest to God truth. So it's a little ironic bringing up meditation and how I'm trying to use it to cultivate a relaxed personality and stuff, and then my phone rings, and of course the phone supersedes the video recording, and it just cuts it right there. And so that really pisses me off, and it's on me. So, but the point I'm trying to make is I'm trying to deal with this in a dignified way right now. I forgot to put my phone on airplane mode, but it also pisses me off that it's an F-wording stinking, stupid commercial call interrupting me, and I just hate that kind of shit because I don't like interruptions in life. So when I'm in the middle of this, when I'm in the middle of something I take seriously like this, I get bent out of shape with interruptions. If my mom walked in my front door right now when I'm trying to do this, I would be like, "What are you doing here? I'm busy. I'm trying to be busy and you're interrupting me." I don't handle interruptions well. So consequently, let me get back to meditation a little bit, okay? I'm just so frustrated that happened right now. And I think I know a way to splice these two things together on my phone, but it still just pisses me off. And so I'm human. You see that in me. I get pissed off. But I'm I meditate to reduce my stress. I've been doing it a half an hour every morning for a couple months, and it's been really worthwhile. I'm really able to empty my mind out and get into a serene state of mind where pretty much for that half an hour, 99.9% of the time, I have not had negative thoughts. And if I do, if anytime any thought creeps in and I realize, oh, I'm thinking about something, I say, let it go, and I pass over it. I imagine it's like water that just washes over me. And then, so then sometimes when that'll happen, I notice I'm having a thought. I'm in the habit now of dismissing it. And then all of a sudden, immediately I get into this clear state of mind where I'm like, oh, wow, this is really pleasant for me. And it doesn't bother me at all. It's just the clarity. I get to a point in the meditation where I'm like, okay, draw a blank, forget everything that happened before, forget everything that's going to happen. Don't try to think, don't try not to think. Just sit here, be in the moment, but have a clear mind. And I find that that's a really healthy thing to do. I come out of these sessions feeling so calm and serene. I begin every meditation with what I call the mission statement. I tell myself, I go over why I'm doing it in my head to cultivate emotional harmony personally and also develop relaxation, calmness, and patience with myself. And then I go on to say in this statement basically that so that it spills into every other part of my life, both personally and professionally, as a family member, as a father, as someone who wants to achieve and do things and create and produce. And so hoping that with the ultimate goal being it's going to help me be successful because it's going to be the drive behind everything. So I reached the point in the meditation where I'm clear, and there are these moments here and there where I'm practically just telling myself, like, manifest the mission statement. It's really important to me that I've become a more relaxed person, but also more motivated, getting stuff done. So sometimes I'm sitting there and I'll have a thought like, I'm clear, and then my mind will be going, yeah, take that picture and put it on my website. And then I go, and I have a thought like, okay, I want to remember that, but like, just let it go right now. It doesn't matter right now. It'll come back to me. And the point here right now is just to clear out and be very pleasant. So I have found that this really does help my stress levels, and sometimes, I go into my quiet room over here and I'm in the dark and I'm in the quiet and I get very mild visuals, and it's not like tripping on a psychedelic type of visual thing, but I see things. I get mild visuals that I would describe as ethereal. Sometimes it's tunnel vision with a very mild light at the end of the tunnel, and I have to tell myself, relax, relax my eyes because they'll be struggling to focus in on what I'm seeing, but it's all in my head, so I'm like having to concentrate on relaxing my eyes when I do that. I make a whole pass through my whole body when I'm starting out. It's one of the rituals I go through. Relax my feet, my calves, my knees, all the way up through my body, up to my head. And I have found out from doing this that the most tension I experience is like, it's in my lower back sometimes, but also in my face. I notice that I'm making an expression, or my eyes are struggling to see something when there's nothing there. So I'm focusing on just relax everything and get used to that feeling so that I can do that at any point in time when I want in life. So like I'm frustrated at the mall. Sometimes I've been frustrated throughout the day with certain things, and I'm like, just let that go. The same way that I let it go when I'm meditating. And so I'll be having a negative thought or something, and it'll just pass right through. I'll be over it. And I've certainly noticed that since I've started doing this, that I'm not the negative person I used to be. I think that drug use, in fact, drug use amplifies self-loathing. Drug use also amplifies one's propensity to be going through negative thoughts in their head and riling themselves up, and those things have diminished greatly since I stopped doing them. And that's been a pleasure to see that I'm actually changing as a person as a result of these activities. It's a long time coming. It was much needed. So I want to recommend to everybody, definitely consider looking into meditation. I think it cultivates the self spiritually. I feel like I'm a better conduit spiritually. I feel like if I smoked marijuana today or drank alcohol, that it would slam the door hard on that activity that I'm getting so much out of at this point. And so there are all kinds of reasons, I think, before drinking, like, hey, why don't I want to do this? And that's one of them, that I don't want to slam the door on my spirituality like that. Very, very wise thing to do. Every time I'm tempted or something, or I have a bad moment, I just let it go. I swear I've developed this habit from meditation that I'm just like, I say that a lot when I'm actually meditating. I go, let it go. Just let it pass right through me. And that's what I'm doing in my regular day-to-day life when things irritate me. And, like right now, I finally just got over the fact that this video cut off in the middle, and it even thinking about it now, I'm bringing it back up, and I feel that tension elevating in me, and I had let it go, but I'm just pointing it out right now that things like that irritate me. Like, I want to be able to set my phone that if I am recording video, no interruptions. Like, I want that functionality to exist, because it's like I'm obviously in the middle of something here, and I don't necessarily have to prioritize an interruption above what I'm doing. So that's the point I'm making anyway. I got over it, and now I brought it up again, and I'm starting to feel aggravated. I actually feel aggravated. I'm like, fucking, cut my video. Sorry I swore. I'm trying not to swear that much on these and be too guttural, but I do feel it. I'm human, people. I'm not a perfect person. By a long shot. Dazed and Confused. I'll end with that. Right here, you see that movie here? I think it's kind of apropos. There's a lot of weed in that youth-filled movie where there's weed and substance abuse and drinking. I have watched that for a long time, and by golly, there are parts of that movie where I feel like, oh, that's what it was like when I was younger. Love that feeling in that movie, and it's got the substance. So I am not decided on what the heck am I going to put. Let me see how long this is. I'm not decided on what the heck I'm going to put right here as I do this recovery podcast. I might have a logo thing eventually. All this might change. The angle of the camera might change, whatever. But anyway, so I've been switching it up every week. And this week it's Dazed and Confused. Last week it was Howard Stern. The first week it was just some kind of picture I have with a moon and stars and the sun on it. And I don't know. Do you have suggestions? Do you want to have commentary on what I'm saying? I would love to read some feedback on this. Send your email to paul@fitspaz.com or paul@fitspazradio.com. I'm available at those. I'm also heavily involved in fitness. I have challenge groups coming up. If you'd like to be a part of those, you got to get your skin wet. You got to buy a challenge pack. You got to commit to using this stuff called Shakeology every day. And yeah, you get your skin wet. You're in the game a little bit. But I will be there motivating you. We'll get you in these groups on Facebook for, I'm doing this program right here called Size. I'll show it to you really quick. It's a dance program. I'm doing that, and I really like that program. I'm enjoying that, and I'm in my first week of it, but I've already done a couple of the routines several times before starting. And now I'm officially doing it. And you can join those. We have 2 groups going on right now, men and women separately, and we have one coming up August 24th that is going to be men and women combined. I'm also thinking I'm about to finish up this other exercise program I'm doing. Oh my God, there's thunder right now. Do you guys hear that? I don't know if you can hear that. This is Body Beast. That's what I've been doing the last 5 months, and I have about 3 weeks left in that program. And then I'm going to just start it over from the beginning, and I'll probably have a challenge group for that. So once again, if you want to get in on those, you want to know more information, write me. I'm Paul, or send email to paul@fitspaz.com or paul@fitspazradio.com. How else do I end these? Go to FitSpaz.com to find out more about the shows that I do. Check out the other show, FitSpaz Radio. It's just straight up FitSpaz Radio. It's about fitness. It's about feeling better, nutrition, the workouts I do, and I'm going to do interviews on there. That's my goal. I think next week I'm going to invite my friend Brian to join me, and then I have someone else in mind I might invite to join me. And my goal is also to get this mixing board set up so that I can talk to people while I'm doing this over the phone or Skype or something like that. So get involved in fitness, people. Feel free to write me and ask me questions about sobering up. I'm not too into negativity right now, so if you are trolling me or you're mean to me, you will get blocked. But if you want to have serious dialogue, I'm down for that. Not seriously mean dialogue, though. My intent is not to be mean in these podcasts I'm doing. I'm trying to give some value to people, some inspiration to straighten their lives out. So, fitspaz.com. I am Paul, the producer, and I want to thank you guys for joining me. Of course, the truth is my business. That's my saying. That's my mantra. And I'm just trying to get one more thing out of here. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up right now. Peace to all of you. Take it easy this week. And last but not least, music provided by Kevin MacLeod. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.